I love this woman. And I hate that society has made me feel that my love is defined by my monogamy.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from all over the world to hear their personal journeys of self-discovery through the lenses of love, sex, and relationships.
Our mission is to show people that they're not alone and to inspire them to embrace their true selves so that together we can open minds and live authentically without shame.
We believe everyone's story is powerful and beautiful, yet it's important to remember that everyone does life a little bit differently and that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we aren't doctors. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Well, welcome to episode 346. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have a wonderful conversation with Michael. Michael and his wife have been exploring non-monogamy since just before they got married about 7 years ago. Beyond that, Michael is also the founder and creative director of The Play.
Yeah, this is a really exciting interview, and it's a little bit different than our normal interviews as it focuses a bit less on Michael's personal journey, but rather digs into how Michael and his wife use their early experiences in exploring the play party scene in LA to craft an interactive play party experience of their own that blends performance art into a sensually curated environment that really creates a deeper connection. And as you'll see today, as Michael talks about, they really focus on it being an experience rather than your standard run-of-the-mill play party. So super excited for all of this. And yeah, can't wait to jump into it.
Yeah, we're really grateful for Michael for sharing everything that he does today. And we're going to keep it short because Michael does dive into so much of this in a lot more detail. To learn more about The Play and all of Michael's work, please head over to theplay.la. Links in the show notes, which you can find in your podcast player or by going to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, and click on the podcast tab.
And with that, we're going to jump right into the interview for anybody who is amazing enough to be a premium subscriber. And for the rest of you, we've got a couple of really short, amazing announcements.
If you're not familiar with the premium subscription, it's a way to skip these announcements up front, but still get important dates in the outro. To sign up, go to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, scroll down on the homepage and sign up right there. Some of those important dates that we want to tell you about include the Week of Visibility for Non-Monogamy coming up July 15th to the 21st, 2024. And special announcement, we're doing a workshop on
a free workshop, Emma.
Yes, a free workshop. That's an important note. On July 17th from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific time. So please convert to your time zone. But we would love to have you join us. It will be called, Is There a Right Way to Do Non-Monogamy?
It's an amazing workshop. We've run it before and we are super excited to run it again. It's been like a year at least since we've done it.
Yes.
So we're stoked to get back out and be getting on the workshop circuit, if you will.
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes.
So to find out more and to sign up, you can head over to our website, which we already told you about, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. And there is a banner right at the top that has a big purpleness to it.
Yes, and you can sign up right
and you
there.
can sign up right there, or you can go over to the events tab and you can sign up there. And while you're there, you'll learn about another event we've got going on coming up here in September.
And that is our community retreat coming up September 13th to the 15th, 2024. You hear us talk about our online community a lot, or like pretty much all of the time. It's
because it's amazing. Not just because we love talking about it.
It is amazing. And you can find out all the information to join our community on the community tab of our website. And if you want to join us in person, you can go and fill out the application on our website for the virtual community and put in there that you're interested in joining for the retreat in September. We will give you a free 1-month trial to try out the community and hopefully you can join.
Yes. And to be clear, anybody who is coming to our in-person retreat must also be a member of the community. It's only $5 a month, and you get tons of amazing things. We do community calls every month, and there are people in there all day, every day, supporting one another, laughing together, loving together, and honestly, exploring the world of non-monogamy together.
Yes.
Again, you can find out more on our website under the community tab. We'd love to have you join us. We think it's one of the most amazing places on the internet.
Yes.
That's why we tell you about it.
All the time.
And we're humble about it, which is amazing.
Last but not least, our favorite way to get tested for STIs is stdcheck.com. You also hear us talk about this a lot, but that's because sexual health, knowing your sexual health status is so important.
And is also super awesome, just like our virtual community.
stdcheck.com is the service that Finn and I use. It is very discreet and quick and simple to use. By using the links on our website under the resources tab, you get $10 off making a 10-panel test, only $129, and you support the show, and you get to know your sexual health status.
That's a lot of ands.
It is.
You sure get a lot for $129.
So thank you, everyone, for using those links. We really appreciate it. And I think with that, a reminder, send us a voicemail, send us an email on our Contact Us page. We would love to hear from you. And now, let's go and talk with Michael.
Let's do it. Welcome to the podcast, Michael. We're excited to chat. Thank you for being here. We're excited to hear all about your story and all about the amazing work you are doing in LA around the play party scene. But to get us started, can you just introduce yourself at whatever level you're comfortable?
Hello. First off, thank you both for having me on, Emma and Finn. It is a pleasure to be here today. Love your podcast. Love what you guys are doing for the culture, and happy to be here. So my name is Michael Hollis. I am the founder and creative director of The Play, an LA-based play party that's, the crossroads of art and sex. One of our slogans is where artists play. You're not just the audience, you are the art. So it's an 8-hour experience where the first half is, connection, art, intimacy exercises, icebreakers. And then the second half is a play party. So we really try to start with a connection and then see where things go.
Amazing. I love the idea that it's not just the walk in the door, get naked as fast as you can, but let's establish some connection. Let's establish some rapport with one another. We're humans. We're humans, and maybe sex is one of the things we like to do, but not the only thing we
and
like
it can help bring down the anxiety around it all too so much.
That is like a big part of the experience that we do is, my goal is to bring down the anxiety in this environment as much as possible, because when we decrease anxiety, we're able to increase the willingness to be vulnerable. And by increasing the vulnerability, then we're increasing the authentic connections and relating. So there's definitely a formula there. And also it just spoke to kind of when we were setting this up. I hate going to play parties and, people just come up and it's like, hey, let's play. It's like, whoa, I do think you look good. And I'm attracted to you, but, capture my mind before I give you my body. I really want to just get to know the person first. It helps me feel a little bit more comfortable in this whole thing and kind of normalize this experience, because there's just not any time in real life where someone's come up to me and was like, hey, let's fuck. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do that.
That sets you apart from me, Michael. That happens daily.
I see it. Kudos to you, Finn.
No, I've had one experience where somebody hit on me one time, and it lives in the Hall of Fame for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think it matters even how attracted to you are to that person. Unless you build rapport, I don't think anybody's really willing to be that intimate. And it's about how much rapport, how much time you get to build rapport, but also the environment. And that's a big one for us when it comes to environments. I probably go to about, 3 or 4 mansions, or beautiful homes a month of people like, hey, you should have the play here. Maybe 1 in 7 I say okay to. Because it's not about I've a 10-room mansion, no, that means there's 10 different vibes we have to create, It needs to be, these big open floor plans, a space that's going to make people feel comfortable. Maybe you have all this great fancy art, but that just feels sharp to me and dangerous. I don't want to knock over your fancy stuff. So,
My hands are going to be slippery.
Exactly. We had one place that we went to, and his one rule was like, don't come on the art. And I was like, I wonder how you got that rule.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No fucking the art, please. Okay.
What I really love too is like it's creating the container. It's creating the container of safety with everyone to have that experience together, and that's really
that's amazing. A big part of it. So we only we have a arrival time for our party from 8 to 10, right? At 10 p.m. we close the doors. No one is allowed after. And it's really like, I don't know if you've ever gone on a medicine journey or certain retreats, you have like this cutoff time where like, these are the people that we're journeying with. You can leave, but no one else can come in. And I think at a play party, when it comes to like decreasing the anxiety, I've been to play parties where, at 11 o'clock, a lot of people are playing and then 5 people walk in fully dressed. It's not just awkward for the people that are playing, but it's also awkward for the people that are dressed. Like, well, what do I do with my fucking hands now? Do I stand in the corner? Do I like wait my turn? Do I approach? Do I try to make casual conversation with someone on the outside of the pile? It just puts both parties in awkward situations. So a big part of this is, like you said, keeping a closed container.
Yeah. And that's when people come on the art because they don't know what else to do. Just go and jerk off on somebody's, $10,000 painting.
Finn, I'm going to watch you. If you ever come to our parties, I'm watching you, okay?
Don't worry. I'm there. I will be there before the doors open. I will be the one person waiting. So being late to things is not
it'll just mean more than you because I'll probably be with you. So there'll be 2 of us waiting.
We love that.
Wow. Super excited for what you're building, and we'll definitely circle back and talk a little bit more about it in a few. We gave people a little teaser, but let's maybe jump back to the beginning because I imagine you didn't necessarily start your non-monogamous journey by hosting these types of elevated events. So maybe what was the catalyst for you to get into the world of play parties and non-monogamy?
Well, my wife and I have been non-monogamous for almost 7 years. And we became non-monogamous right before we got married. So we are one of like the few couples who started off non-monogamous, but it was still, again, right before marriage. And so we went to every play party. Like once I found out about the lifestyle, I guess I should back up. How we became non-monogamous. Let's start there. She had caught me cheating, and we were about to have the big talk. And I used to be a meditation coach and a yoga teacher, so I was like, okay, I see like where this is about to be the talk. So let's take 20 minutes to meditate and really like assess here and just have a moment of peace before we go to war. And in that, I had to be honest with myself. I was like, why did I cheat? Like, I love this woman. I want to spend the rest of my life with this woman. Like, what is causing me to cheat? And then I realized, like, I don't know if I've ever been quote unquote faithful to any girlfriend that I had. And like, whether it was physical, emotional, or maybe spiritual cheating, I think because I think when people think cheating, it's always physical, but I think there's so many more emotional and mental and spiritual cheating that can happen in a relationship too. So it made me realize, like, I don't think I've ever been that with anyone. And I don't think it wasn't, it was never coming from a place of ill intent. It was really just kind of living in that moment. And I realized, I just don't think I'm monogamous. I keep trying to fit this square peg into this round circle, round hole, and it's not working. And so when I came to that realization, I was like, hey, baby, I don't think I'm monogamous. And honestly, I've had 5 threesomes up until this point, and they haven't been with her at that point, yet. But I had 5 threesomes, and I was like, that's something sexually that I just enjoy. If we're together, like, I want to figure out a way for us to do that, but that feels good for you. Whatever rules that you want to put on it, whichever person it is, whatever the boundaries are, let's just talk about it because I want to experience it. But not only that, I want to experience it with you. Like, it would be so much fun to do that with you. And and again, this was like these big moments of vulnerability. And I've learned nowadays to lean into those moments because there's so many rewards on the other side of being your truest, most vulnerable self. And this was that first lesson. And she was like, first off, thank you for dropping this whole Prince Charming thing. Like, you're a human, you make mistakes. I just want to see your full self. Who is Michael, the totality. I don't need to see Prince Charming all the time. And secondly, I've been interested in exploring women. And I was like, oh, wait, what? Like, yeah, since I was a little girl, I'd been, interested in exploring women. And I was like, well, shit, I think we got something here. I would like to do a threesome. You want to, try women? Like, okay. So we had our first threesome eventually, and it went well. It went really well. There was obviously the times where we paused and we talked things through, but it was knowing that I had this open communication. Like I'm mentioning the pausing and talking things through because we got that to that level in our communication style where it's like, hey, are you feeling uncomfortable? I can pick up that you're feeling uncomfortable. Let's pause for a second and just talk about it.
What was the walk like from and like, not to just, I don't want to just sit and focus on the cheating and an infidelity, but the walk or the journey from, hey, we're going to take a 20-minute pause, then we're going to go into what you were worried was going to be like going to war. And like, how did that go? And how did you make the journey from that to how do we do this together? Because I think that's a powerful quest to go on together.
Yeah, I just had to be honest with myself. Like, I love this woman, and I hate that society has made me feel that my love is defined by my monogamy. I don't think that when I've hooked up, when I cheated on her, it wasn't like I loved her any less because I cheated. I went after an inhibition. I dropped into the moment a little too deep. But I think it was really assessing my feelings around it, being like, okay, why did I cheat? And what, there wasn't any, like I said, there was no malice or ill intent or, a feeling like she wasn't doing something that I couldn't experience at home. I just wanted to try something else.
Yeah.
And I think when not I think, but when I explained that to her, like, hey, I love you. And I wanted, I don't want anything to change with our relationship, really trying to assess where that cheating came from and talking it through to her and, letting her, here's the text messages. Here's how it happened. Here's why it happened. Yeah. And I'm human and I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to, I'm sorry if I broke your heart. That's not I can see why your heart's broken, but I'm also down to take all the time to repair it. So what does the path to repair look like?
What did it look like?
Oh, the path. Oh, the path of repair. It could take so many different forms. It's you're rebuilding trust with someone. How do you rebuild trust with your best friend?
Yeah, it takes time.
It takes fucking time. And I think you said it. It just takes time. There's not like one thing that I could point out to that was like, oh, now she trusts me. Look, baby, I came home before 2 a.m. like we agreed on. It's. I think the trust comes from the moments that you don't think about. It's like when you're at a play party, like when you're living your truth, when you're really living like the agreement that you agreed to. Right. So if you're saying, hey, we're going to communicate more. So then I come up to her at a play party being like, hey, baby, I am really feeling this person. Is it okay if we make out? Like, oh, I can't believe you're asking me to just make out. Like, and like, that's one of those things where I'm not saying, hey, baby, trust me. I'm just like, because we're at this level of communication and I want you to trust me and we have this trusting relationship and we've talked about communication, here's just how I naturally communicate with you. So then we're doing these things that aren't for show. It's just genuine, Like, I learned from my lesson. Here's me doing that, but I'm not putting on a show for you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. And what was roughly the timeline between the sort of the rupture and you're starting the repair to, hey, we're going to start going to some of these events and start exploring this, on the up and up consensually between the two of us in sort of our way?
Man, it's like, it's hard to quantify the time. It's there's just so many things that do I think she fully trusts me by the time we went to our first play party? No.
No.
I think
Yeah.
part of me gaining the trust is us having a successful experience at that play party.
Totally.
So yeah, I don't know, Finn, did you want to clarify that?
Well, just from that time until the first play party, was that were you weeks, months? Was that a couple of years?
So after I said I cheated and I wanted to do the threesomes, the next step was threesomes, and so we went, that was kind of like the progression here. And then after we had a threesome, we met another couple who was like, hey, have you guys ever been to a play party? And I'm like, excuse me? Like, what are you talking about? Like, she's like, a sex party. I was like, if you're telling me that there's parties where people are having a bunch of sex openly and having like a great time, like, and I don't know about it, and I like to think I know the party scene, you better show me. So I went to a party called Plush. I don't know. Have you guys heard of Plush?
Heard of it. Yep.
Yes. So they do hotel takeovers. So my first play party was a hotel takeover, and we were like, oh my God. I mean, with that couple, we had actually, this needs to be said. So after we did the threesome, we did a swap with a couple that we trusted. And, it got to where, hey, I'm interested in exploring women, to, hey, like, I'd like to explore men as well. I was like, all right. Advice I'd like to give to men that are in this space, and I guess people in general, because I think a lot of times I see, especially for someone who's, just maybe in a sense leading this community here in Los Angeles for play parties, I see a lot of guys get in and be like, hey, I want to see my girl hook up with another girl, and it becomes like, that's the norm. And it's so, I think it's the new heteronormative, and I want to make sure my advice to guys are like, if you're going to go down that path of like, hey, I'm so happy with my girl exploring something with another, woman, when it comes time for her to, and you're allowed to explore with another woman as well, when it comes time for her to want to explore with a man, how you receive that, and how you respond to that is really going to, I don't want to say define how this relationship's going to go, but it's a very big part in your relationship and what your true intentions are here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's the difference between I'm hoping to hook up with other women and I want us to both be on a journey of self-exploration and self-discovery.
Exactly. Are you here for true human connection, or are you here to just, fill one person's cup?
Yeah. 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 And as long as the thing that you're wanting to do fills my cup, then we can keep doing that. But if I'm not, quote unquote, getting something out of it, then
this isn't for us.
Bothering?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it speaks to, I think, everyone in this space should understand the word compersion. That is how this space really thrives. It is all based off compersion, being able to watch others experience joy without you having to give them that joy. And I have so many, being in this space for so long, I felt like I've been like the community therapist, but I use the compersion example a lot. And a big example that I use, and I don't know if your listeners are familiar with the word or not, but I will say the example that I like using are if you have children and you bring them to a park, Like they can run around, they can go on the swings, they can go down the slide. Like you don't have to go down the slide with them. You don't have to push them on the swings. You can literally stand on the sidelines and just be happy that the child is experiencing joy. That brings you joy. And I think it's the same thing in the quote unquote lifestyle. If your partner's out there just having a ball, like that should just be enough. Are you not? Aren't you just happy that they're happy? Whether you're the one giving them the happiness or not, they're just experiencing joy. Like that's the beauty here.
Yeah, and it is, it is one of those things that compersion is. It is a beautiful thing. It's also really challenging for some people, and so I would say, to anybody who's not familiar, we always direct people to a website, whatiscompersion.com. It is run by a good friend of ours, Marie Tuen. She's a compersion researcher here in the Bay Area. I will also direct people to a recent episode of Libby Sinback's podcast, Making Polyamory Work, where she interviews Marie and they nerd out on compersion for about an hour. And it's an absolutely amazing conversation. So
links will be in the show notes for anyone listening and driving.
So yes. But those are just a few resources. And I think, maybe my only caveat on compersion would be, if you don't feel it, you're not a failure. I would like people to take that message away. Ooh. That you can still navigate non-monogamy, and you can even still act compersively even when you don't necessarily feel it. So those are my only.
Sometimes getting to a state of neutral is like, that's okay.
That's a great goal.
If that's where you're at, that's okay.
That is a great goal. Yeah, I also talk about jealousy as well. A lot of people think some people in this space are like, oh, well, we don't get jealous anymore. And I just laugh every time I hear it, because jealousy is a normal human emotion. Like, thank God we get to experience jealousy. What a blessing to even experience the emotion. I hate being like, oh, I don't have an ego anymore. Like, it is so beautiful to experience an ego, like, yes, to understand. I think the cool part about ego is like, sometimes you just need it. Maybe you've, if there's a challenge, like, hey, you're running and you want to finish that last mile, like your ego is the one that's pushing you to finish, but knowing when the ego is driving is like the true awareness. And it's okay to let the ego drive sometimes. So with jealousy, when you're experiencing it, we lean into it like, okay, I'm jealous. And we do with my wife and I, we have this thing called reclamation sex. Reclamation is the best. Reclamation is not the opposite, but this is what the jealousy breeds. Like, if you're feeling jealous, okay, you're jealous. For us, whenever we hook up with someone different, when we first started, we would have 48 hours to hook up with each other. And during that 48 hours, it's like reclaiming your territory, if you will. Like, we're going to plan a time to have this amazing reclamation sex. And I think when you have the reclamation sex, because that jealousy is there, it's the type of sex where you're trying to prove something. It's like, I saw you have a good time with that person. Let me remind you who I am, and what I do. And that is one of the things that, has just kept our relationship and our marriage, spicy throughout this experience. It's like, okay, well, and look, maybe the reclamation doesn't come as soon as 48 hours anymore, but when it is time for us to play and drop in and have some real intimate time, like, that jealousy does come out, but it's expressed in a way that's like beneficial for both of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like you sort of gamify it. You have fun with it. You're not trying to beat the other person.
Yeah, exactly.
You're feeding off the energy. You're living it up. You're like, hey, I saw you doing crazy shit, and now we're going to do some crazy stuff, and like, it'll be fun and we'll have a great time with it.
Yeah, it works for my personality. It works. I'm a little competitive sometimes. I try not to be competitive, but when it comes to something like that, pleasing my wife, like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to be a little competitive there, So for me, it speaks to me. So it may not work for everyone, but if you do have a little competitive nature to you, it can definitely help spice things up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so it sounds like you two had,
I was going back to.
yeah, like you had you come through the infidelity, you have a couple of threesome experiences, those kind of parlay into swapping with another couple,
Yeah.
which leads into going to the play parties that you didn't know existed, even though you thought you knew all the parties. And then I'm just like that sort of journey, even from there to the first play party, it sounds like you two really did a lot of work on communicating, coming back together. Maybe again, like you said, was it fully 100% trusting? Probably not, but you were doing a lot of really edgy shit. You know, most people would never go that route. I think even especially after coming out of a rupture and a breach of trust. So I think that's an amazing sort of trajectory just to sort of honor and celebrate a bit.
Thank you. We're definitely a very logical couple. You know, I mean, we're emotional as well, but we do try to just say, you know, like, hey, if I broke your trust, there's got to be chances for me to gain it back, and it can't be like, no, we have to put ourselves back in the arena to earn the trust. It can't be like, hey, you're gonna earn my trust from, you know, coming home with your boys early, you know, like put me back in the arena where I can be tempted to, you know, break your trust. And that's going to be actually the part where we're going to get the most done, to where, okay, hey, I say, I'd like to just go kiss this woman, and I go kiss her, and that's all we did. And I come back. So you can see, like, boom, boom, boom. And maybe she has a relationship with one of the people that I hook up with, and she can ask that person, hey, what did you guys do? And I'm not around, you know, we can have you know, there has to be opportunities to gain trust back. It can't just be like, I don't trust you, stay inside. And so now there's no way to actually gain back trust.
Yeah. And it sounds like you did enough of that to get to the parties and to that scene.
So we went to a bunch of parties, and, you know, they just were not the vibe we were looking for. Oh man, how do I say this? Okay, there's a lot of things. One, I am a Black man in this space. There aren't a lot of Black men and women in this space, right? It can be a very white space. And that was already like, wait, this is weird. Like, I'm in Los Angeles, California. Like, I know this is a very mixed place. How come the majority of these parties feel white? You know, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's purposeful that, you know, Black and brown people weren't in that space. I think there's something cultural there as well. You know, I do want to touch on that. I think there is something cultural there, but I also think when it comes to diversity and inclusion, you have to actively want it to happen, and you know, I think that's the quote unquote allyship. It's like saying, you know, I may know of someone of color, or, you know, of a different religion, race, or whatever, that is curious about this. I'm going to go out of my way to try to get them to come to the party. You know, maybe I take a little bit more time on their interview, you know, maybe whatever it is, like maybe I go have dinner with that person and like sit down and was like, hey, what's really holding you back? Because once you get a few, you know, what we've seen is like, once you start having, you know, a more diverse population, like they spread it amongst their friends. And then, you know, you're starting to get more people, and you don't have to do as much work to get, you know, someone diverse into your community. But at starting off, you kind of do have to, what's the thing that they did like back in like the 60s, you know, to get more diversity in the workplace?
Affirmative action.
Okay. Affirmative action. We've got to have affirmative action at these play parties. You heard it here first. But seriously, you know, that's part. Diversity was a big part for me. I was like, okay, I don't. You know, I used to hear women be like, "Oh my goodness, I can't wait to feel your BBC." I was like, okay, I appreciate that compliment, because I see there's a compliment in there. However, it's like, I don't want to be objectified at this party. Like, I'm not trying to just be somebody's BBC fantasy. I'd like to just, you know, connect with you and have this, you know, I don't want to be that object. you know? And I think a lot of times people of different races get objectified in these spaces because they're the only one in that space. And then it drives them away because, like, well, shit, I went to that party and it's like, I was just fantasized on, you know? So when you have multiple people there of different races, they don't feel as objectified.
Yeah, I was going to say it kind of comes down to objectification, right? It's just like when there's more people.
Or fetishized too,
yeah,
right?
Fetishized.
yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Fetishized. Yes.
Well, even like where the party is, like this is, for, let's say, white women to hook up with black men. Like we've seen those parties as well, right? And okay, you've now increased the number, you've increased the diversity, I suppose,
Yeah.
but you've done so in a bit of a, now I don't want to say the phrase backdoor way, but you kind of, you kind of snuck your way into it. So I can see that's, not necessarily an ideal way to solve that problem.
So diversity was a big one. But I think the biggest driving factor for us when we were going to this play parties that really surprised us was like, nobody's testing. This was just mind blowing to us. All of these play parties claim to be safe spaces. They love throwing this term out. Like, we're a safe space because the people that come to our party say we're a safe space. Okay, cool. What documentation do we have to start like affirming a safe space? And for us, we go to these parties and like, when you go to your friends' events, where it's a private one, sometimes they'll be like, hey, everybody get tested before we hang out. Like, I've seen that before, but parties that you're purchasing a ticket to, they don't do it. And it's just like, why not? Is it the extra work that you have to do to, make sure that everybody has the results and everybody's negative? You're going to do this whole on the website. It talks about, safety in this space and consent and the codes of conducts. But you guys, we're doing, there is a danger here of potential, transferring disease and infections. So
yeah.
That was a big one for us, is that if we're going to host a party, we're going to require everybody to be tested. Now, what do we test for? Right. That's a big
question. I'm glad we're going to go down this road, because I think there's so much stigma around this that I would love to hear sort of how you approach it.
So the things that we test for at the play are gonorrhea, syphilis, chlamydia, HIV. All things, like you can get prep for HIV. You can, and then for chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, you go and get a shot or what have you to be able to fix it. Now, HSV 1 and HSV 2. Statistically, like 70% of Los Angeles has it. If people do have HSV 1 or HSV 2, we just ask them to have the conversation with people new who they hook up with.
It's also a lot harder to get tested for.
It's a lot harder to get tested for. AHF, one of my favorite testing places out here, they stopped testing for it because they were tired of having the conversation with people about, okay, you got this. And then they feel like their fucking life is over. And it's like, it's just not. And if you're taking the medicine and you don't have any sores, then it's like a 1%, transfer rate, if that. And if you're wearing, condoms and everything, then it's still the contraceptive rate. So we still require condoms in our space. Unless you're fluidly bonded with someone, then okay. But that's kind of our whole HSV 1 spiel. And it's longer than that, but we don't have all that time. So
no, it's good. And I really appreciate that it's not perpetuating that stigma, right? That it's sort of hey, we just acknowledge that it's out there. We acknowledge that there's a good chance that a large percentage of the people here
are carriers,
or right. And that is basically an acceptable risk. And we ask you to mitigate that with conversation. I'm curious too, on the HIV side of things. So the idea there would be, right, if people are I guess technically HIV positive, but they are under treatment in such a way that their viral load is undetectable, right? They would still test come back as a sort of a negative test, still be able to come and still be able to participate. So you're not necessarily excluding or furthering the stigma there either, right? This is an inclusive policy, not an exclusive policy.
Exactly. For the one, especially when it comes to HIV, just show us that you're doing something towards, making sure you're not going to be a risk at the party.
Yeah,
right?
Transmission mitigation, right?
Transmission mitigation. Thank you for the phrasing. Exactly. Transmission mitigation is exactly what we're trying to do here. And remember though, and this is what I tell the team, don't forget, we're still the only ones doing it. Yeah. So guys, there's a little bit of we can, with certain cases, there's one-off cases where there's certain situational things that happen, right? Our goal, I have to remind people sometimes that if 99% of the party has negative test and that one person has that one situation, we still are trailblazing, right? It's the stop. I always compare it to the stop sign in the middle of nowhere, where it's you see no cars around. Okay, we know what the stop sign is for, but if there's no cars around, I don't think you need to come to a complete stop here,
Right. Well, and I think too, along those same lines, you are by having this standard, I think we're all still adults, right? People showing up to this, they should still be having the conversations. Here's what I'm interested in. Here's what I'm not interested in. Here's my testing. Here's we should still be having the conversations. Just because somebody tested at the door doesn't mean you just don't have the safer sex conversation anymore.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's a difficult conversation to have for some.
Totally.
I think because we're making our whole policy is that we test. That's our number one pillar. You don't have to go down that conversation path like you would at another play party. It was hey, when was your last STI test? With us, it was within the last 3 months. Yeah. Then our testing is within 90 days. So it's not 2 weeks prior to the party, you got to go get tested. Because even the thought behind that is look, you can get something. If you're an active person in this lifestyle, you can still get something before the party. Right?
Sure.
Our goal is to shift the culture around testing. If you're going to be in this non-monogamous lifestyle, getting tested once per quarter should be the norm, or we think should be the norm. Once, depending on your activity, but or at least if you want to be and come to our parties, that's what it's going to be. That's what we're going to require.
Yeah, I'm curious on sort of anybody who got into the culture enough, into the scene enough to launch off this dedicated to build your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what for you and your wife, what has sort of, clearly it's had a big impact on you, and I'm curious how it has impacted your relationship, even up until the point where you did decide hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do it better, we're going to take it to another level. But I have to imagine somewhere along that way, you were really seeing the benefits from this, or you wouldn't have been motivated to drive hard to fix what was broken.
Yeah, when it is the most beautiful thing I've ever witnessed, these parties, and what we're doing at these parties. This is my purpose. This is my dharma. This is what I will be doing until the wheels fall off. The feedback that we get from people, this has been the most transformative experience of my life. This is, helped heal some trauma that I've been going through. People have sent us Bible verses after. And the reason they're doing that is because we're changing how play parties flow. You'll hear me say this all the time, but we are going to shift the culture of play parties so that it becomes a rewarding experience, whether you play or not, right? You're not, some people think people go to play parties for the sex. Having done this for a while, I can see that people come for the pillow talk, right? They come because they want to be in a space where they can be comfortable and vulnerable. And if a connection happens from there, that's physical, great. But the connection that happens, that's more, the conversation that you get to have in that space. Like I'm butt naked having a conversation with someone about like, how do I be a third in a threesome? Like that was a huge conversation that I had there. That was an awesome experience. Then after that, we made out, like, great. But what we're doing with the play is we're going to give you the tools to be successful in this space, right? So a good comparison is I'll just use a sports example. It's like a basketball player that wants to play baseball, right? They're still an athlete, right? But they're going to this completely different arena. So will they get a hit? Sure. Will they get a catch? Possibly. But do they know the batter has 3 strikes? Do they know any of the third baseman signs? All of these rules that go around playing baseball, they don't actually know. So when you ask people that have come from the nightlife of going to clubs and going to bars, and those kind of social scenes to come to a play party, it's just like that basketball player playing baseball. Like, yeah, you may get there. Yeah, sure, you may hook up with somebody, but do you understand how to accept a no? Do you understand what a fuck yes looks like? Do you know when to have the boundaries conversation? So at our parties, we tell people during our interview process, because that's another big part of this. We do what makes us unique as well is we do one-on-one interviews with every single person that wants to attend our party. And during that party, during that interview, we're asking about their experience in the lifestyle. We're asking them to say their boundaries out loud. We're asking them, what interests them in this space? Like, what's their intentions behind coming here? We're able to see the couple and how they interact. Like, is he dragging you to this? Is she like super adamant about this and you are scared out of your mind? Like, this may not be for you because we're seeing the body language and everything here. But the big thing that we do during that interview is that we're going to start giving you the tools to be successful in this environment. So one of the things we do at our party is, so part of the interview is that we walk people through the night, like hour by hour, this is what's going to happen. So instead of you coming into the play party being like, okay, I'm here. What do I do with my hands? Like, do I go talk over there? Like, no. We've got a nice little flow for you. Hour by hour, we got something for you before we let you loose. So when you arrive at our party, we're going to have, our bag check, coat check, phone check. We're going to take your phone away. That's a big thing that we do at this space. Like, if you want to be present and you're asking to be this vulnerable with someone, we're not going to have phones around, because we also have to decrease the level of anxiety in the space. By having a phone there, I'm sure you guys been to a play party before where like somebody's phone goes off 4 times. You have to check it, right? You check it, it's a text, and then somebody that's in a pile looks up and you guys make eye contact and they're like, what the fuck is going on? Did you just take a picture? It's like, no, I didn't take a picture. It's like, how do you know they didn't take a picture? You saw their phone. Like, all these things happen with people. So we decrease the anxiety by taking away the phones. Then when you get into the space, the first, we have somebody that welcomes you to the space to show you where everything is. Like, so, hey, here's the bathroom. Here's the fire spanking corner. Here's, butt plug ring toss, here's where you can, we actually label everybody's cup with their name on it. So you'll have a cup there. So a lot of times, when you're talking to people, I always forget people's names, but like by having the name on the cup, it makes you less of an asshole forgetting somebody's name. Like, oh, hey, Emma, it's nice to see you again, that kind of thing. But again, we're helping create natural connections. So then we say the topic of conversation during our happy hour, which is from 8 to 10, are your boundaries. Start off every conversation just asking that person what their boundaries are. So whether, they'll do this at our party, but we're going to give them the tool now. If you go to another party, you're just going to start off by asking people their boundaries, right? Like, that's the culture that we're trying to change here. So when you get to a play party, that the first conversation that should be happening is about somebody's boundaries. So I don't cross them. So I know that, this woman who I'm trying to talk to, like, oh, I asked her about her boundaries early on. Turns out she's a lesbian. I'm not going to like flirt with her the same. I may keep the conversation going, but it may not be in the direction of me, hooking up with that person. Asking the couple what their boundaries are. Cool. Then we do we go into a consent talk. And so we talk to everybody, hey, this is what consent looks like in our space. And, Bonobo does a great job of consent talks as well. We took a little nugget from Bonobo and added it to ours, which is, consent is an ongoing collaboration. I fucking love that phrase, because it's about the beginning, middle, and the end, which I think a lot of people don't think about so much, or because they are very goal oriented. It's like, okay, in the beginning, I'm all about their consent. During, I'm all about their consent. And then after we hooked up, well, I'll see you later. It's like, hey, was that a good experience for you? Like there's some the aftercare. So we talk about, consent, but then we also talk about voyeurism. We have a rule called the COVID rule. If you're within 6 feet, you need to ask, is it okay if I watch? There's been so many times where I'm at parties before I start doing the play where, me and my wife are hooking up and, I think we're good looking people, and sometimes people would come around and be like, this is a hot scene. And it's like, for me, I'm not an exhibitionist. And so it takes me out because I'm feeling these other people's energy and I feel their eyes on me. And I'm trying to keep my, dick hard during this experience too. Like I'm trying to stay engaged, but I'm feeling your eyes. So if they were at least 6 feet, I could be in, I think 6 feet is a good enough space. Shout out to COVID. We learned something.
The one good thing that came out of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it's also letting people know that, hey, when you go to a play party, you don't just get to go up to people and watch them, even though you're not touching them, right? There is consent to voyeurism when you're at a certain distance. So that's another nugget that we give to them. And then we do an intimacy exercise. This one is a really cool one that we've added in the past 2 years where we do this whole thing in silence and you eye gaze with 3 or 4 strangers in the party. And we do this in silence. We ask people, you don't need to wink at them. You don't need to smile. You definitely don't need to touch them. You just eye gaze for 30 seconds and then move on to the next person. We have to create opportunity for verbal and nonverbal connection. Not everybody's good with their words. And even people that are good with their words, sometimes in this environment, they're not good with their words. So sometimes just being able to stare into someone's eyes says so much. I mean, they're the windows to the soul. I don't want to be corny here, but you guys know eye gazing can be super powerful.
Totally.
Now on the last, and then also it gives you a chance to get a little FaceTime maybe with that person that you're into without having to like come up with some cheeky line, like, hey, I like your hair. Like, does that mean you want to fuck me? I don't know. So, you're getting this FaceTime and hopefully in one of those 4 people that you eye gaze with, maybe one of them you're potentially interested in. So then on the 4th person, you exchange your dibs, your desires, intentions, and boundaries for the night. This is a big one for that we came up with for the play where the dibs are it starts with your desires. We almost did bids, which is your boundaries, intentions, and desires, but like bidding on people, not really a fan of that as a Black man. It's
fair enough.
Yeah, right? Yeah. We'll do dibs. But also, starting off with a desire, right? Let's start the conversation off with a desire. And the desire should be something sensual or sexual that you want to experience here. Like we're at a sex party. What do you want to experience here? How many times do you say out loud to someone at a sex party what you want to experience? It's almost rare when you think about it. Like, do you get what you want to experience? Desire? Sometimes. But how often are we just telling one other person, you know what? I want to experience, 2 women sucking my dick at the same time. Like I'm there, I said it, and it's a good way to speak what you want into existence. And now you have somebody to where, let Emma, we're eye gazing and you say, you know what? I want to be tied up. I want to experience Shibari. I'm like, well, look, I'm not the Shibari guy, but like, I know the Shibari guy. Or if I see some guy doing rope tying, I can be like, hey, Emma, remember you said you desire this? Like, here's the guy, Emma, Robert, Emma, you kind of have somebody that's like, conspiring, to help your fantasy come true. And then after that, your intention. And just like, what is your intention for being here tonight? What's up? Was it for a connection, to experience something new with your partner? Like, whatever it is, like, share it with somebody. And then lastly, your boundary. Now, I know we had that boundaries conversation that happened at the first 2 hours of the party. But let's say, you got there at like 9:30, you didn't get that time, or maybe you were just, playing Truth or Dare Jenga, whatever, you got caught up in a game or something. No matter what, at our party, you are going to say your boundary out loud to at least one person. And for newer couples, this can be super powerful because it can ground you back in the experience, where like this can be super overwhelming. You're seeing people walking around in an open space for the first time naked. Like, oh my God, I want to do this. I want to do that. Like when you say that boundary aloud, like, oh wait, that's right. Like we're only hooking up with each other tonight and we may kiss somebody else. Great. Let me remind myself of that. So it's a great reminder before the party gets started. But these are some of the things that we're doing to help shift the culture, to say, hey, here's some great conversations to have with people prior to you trying to get physical with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
That's fantastic. And I think what comes through so strong, Michael, is like passion.
I was just going to say your passion. That's what I was going to say too.
Right? Because
it does.
There's no shortage of parties out there. There's no shortage of play parties. There's no shortage of hotel takeovers and clubs and all of that. But having like true passion, truly passionate and dedicated, not just to the fun of it, but understanding that the true, I think, to my opinion, the true fun and the true intimacy isn't even really the sex. It is all of the ways that we can create depth. So when and if sex does happen, it is on a level that you've maybe never experienced.
Yeah.
Right? Intimacy and sex are not the same thing.
And that's why, there's a lot of play parties out there, and there's only a few that are trying to build community. Mm-hmm. There's some that are like, hey, how can we get in this room tonight? I don't like the parties that are like, oh, this is couples and single women. Like, wow, how the patriarchy is really running strong here. Now, I understand there's got to be certain ratios. I get that, but
there's other ways. There's
other ways to execute it without saying that, right?
Yeah.
So now the beauty of this thing now is when we add the art to it, because I think like creative energy and sexual energy are like one and the same. They come from like that same place. And so instead of having these performances, the people who attend our party are the performers. They submit their fantasy to us. And I come from television and film, and, I have a production background. So you submit your fantasy and then we'll just make it come true. Like, let's say, okay, one we're doing this weekend because, by the time this comes out, this party will have been over.
Yep.
But, she is a rope bunny and she ties with, she wants to tie with a certain rigger. And so but she wanted to do something like elegant, but she also wanted to do something with like, that was interactive with the crowd. And I was like, okay, perfect. Let me, as the creative director, I love this. Like, yes. Okay. So you want it to be interactive, but you also want to be suspended. And like, you want, to be tied up in front of everybody. Okay. Let's do it. And it needs to be like in a 5-minute container. So what we're going to have happen is like, she's going to be, to get the tie going, it takes like 30 minutes, to really get a good tie. So she's just going to be being tied up in the corner of the party for like 30 minutes. People are just going to walk by and it's going to be cool that she's getting tied. Then when her performance comes on, she's going to go over to the rig and he's going to start suspending her. And the theme of this one is the Matrix. So we're going to have, black rope and all that good stuff. And she was into wax play. And I was like, okay, let's get some glow in the dark wax, these pores, and then we can give 10 of them to people in the crowd who she's given wristbands to that are going to be allowed to be wax poured on her. So she's giving consent to. So now we have this performance where she's going to be suspended, and 10 people in the crowd that she's giving consent to are going to come up and pour wax on her to create this amazing art piece while we have one of LA's top violinists playing in the background to add that like classiness factor that she was looking for. So now she's experiencing her fantasy. We're getting to create art together. People are enjoying it. But when it's done, whether like, it's a good performance or not, right? We're holding space for someone's fantasy. So that's the beauty here. The beauty is that when she's done, we get to talk to her about what did that feel like,
Yeah.
Tell me how long have you been being tied up? And now you're creating an authentic moment that everybody connected on. Right. So now we all have something in common that we can all talk about. And we're not talking about ourselves anymore. We're talking about art, and there's no wrong perspective. And I think it adds the nuance to flirting when you give people something of substance to connect on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I love the integration of art and because like you said, the creative energy is like aligned with sexual energy and tapping into that in different ways. Like that's so cool to provide that space for people and to explore those different things. Like where else would something like that happen? And yeah.
Well, and it gives people too another right rather than, well, how's the weather? It's what did you think of that amazing performance, right?
This is the hardest part at play parties. It's like I've been doing, I do play parties. This is my job. Like this is my career. And I'll go to a play party and like, I don't know what the fuck to talk about, and like, it's so weird just complimenting people on their look, right? Like, I don't want to be that person. Like, I want to let's talk, but then I don't want to talk politics, especially not right now. And so there's only so many things. And like you get talking about people's jobs, and it's like, man, who wants to talk about their fucking job at a sex party? Like, ugh. So give them something.
Not everyone has cool jobs like us.
That's right. That's right. So that's the big thing is that we'll do 3 main performances, and between each performance will be an intermission. So you have like multiple chances, because it's not the nuance to flirting isn't just like, oh, here's something of substance to talk about. It's standing across the room and looking at somebody that you may have a crush on. And maybe trying to find your way next to them and like, maybe you guys are painting together and you're complimenting on their painting, right? It's like, has to be these authentic ways for us to really connect. Then, that's from 8 to midnight is that performance, intimacy exercise, consent, happy hour time. And then 4 to 8 a.m. 12 to 4 a.m. is our playtime.
So nap the day before.
I was like, so night owls.
It's like I tell people. I tell people all the time.
Come prepared though. Come prepared for it.
Exactly. Like, look, this is like going to fucking Disneyland. Like, we're not saying, we've sold out every single party for the past 3 years. So we only allow 50% returning guests and 50% new guests. This is another big thing. I'm sure you guys have been to play parties where it's like, okay, it's the same people every time, right? And when it becomes the same people every time, politics form, naturally, right? And like, so yes, there's 30 people in this room, but let's be honest, there's only 2 people that you can actually play with, right? Because we've been playing together for so long and things have changed and blah, 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 right? So by making it the 50-50, it's like, one, you're not going to be the new person that comes to this party. 50% are also new to this experience. So you're not the outcast or you're feeling like fresh meat when you walk in. And then for the returning guest, like if you've come to the play 2 or 3 times in a row, we're going to be like, hey, take a break, right? Like, let's let somebody else experience this. Get some new creativity in there.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that way you also make it like so that you have a reasonable number of people for whatever space you're in too.
Exactly. We always like, if the space can hold 200, then we'll do like 120 person party, right? This isn't like a party, it's a play party. So we want space, we provide the condoms, lube, sanitation wipes, feminine products, all the way down to disposable toothbrushes in our restrooms. Like all the little things that get into your head where it's like, oh, fuck, like, I think my breath stinks, or like, is there something in my teeth? Like or contact solution. That's another one we have. Like, oh, my contacts are dry. Like, we got you. Don't worry about it.
I also have a question. Thank you so much for outlining everything and for the amazing work around these parties. I'm curious, kind of, how has it impacted your relationship with your wife, and kind of where is your relationship today?
Oh man, you're asking the hard hitting questions, huh? All right. Um, yes, it is definitely.
Yeah, that's a super easy one to answer.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. So me and my wife are at a good space right now. We do have the same struggles or similar struggles that people that have been married for 7 years have. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes
Relationship. It's a relationship.
It's a fucking relationship. Yeah. So like it is. I mean, the fact that we've been married this long in this lifestyle, like I think there's something to be said to that, because we're not like the couple that's going to the play parties. We are the couple who host the play parties. We are the ones who, when anybody's feeling some kind of way or feeling down or they're going through a breakup or stuff like that, like we are one of the first people that they come to. We really try to hold space for our community. And, I couldn't have done this without this woman. It would have impossible. She is the yin to my yang. She makes sure, my ego doesn't get out of line. She keeps me grounded. She, we bounce ideas off of each other. Does this feel, does this sound right? Are we, there's a lot of play party leaders out there that are just one person doing it. And I truly feel sorry for those individuals because, it's hard to make decisions on people's engagement in your community based off one person's idea, because it goes off their past experiences as well. Like we're all just products of our environment. So, we used to play at the parties a lot when we first started. But as it's gone on, we don't play at the parties as much. We rarely actually play at the parties anymore. We're giving this experience, and I, she's one of the founders. This is definitely my job. She has another job that she does. So she still attends, all the parties, but when we play at parties nowadays, I think because of like who we are in the community, it's just, I feel like all the eyes are on us when we do that. And like I told you, like, I'm not the big exhibitionist. So like, guys, you're not helping me here, trying to have an intimate moment with my wife. So, I think and as I've calmed down a little bit from playing at the parties as much. There was a time where I'd be like, oh man, let's go wild. But now, I want to give this experience. This is my service. This is my dharma. This is the legacy I want to leave behind. This is the experience I want to give people. I've just seen some really beautiful things and transformations and relationships grow and marriages form and children be born and communication that's transformative. I've seen a shift in the culture. When I hear about other play parties that are now they're doing orientations, great. When I hear other play parties that, whether they're copying ideas or feeling inspired, I don't care. The goal for this whole time is we come from a place of abundance. If you copy our ideas, thank you. Great. Mm-hmm. Do it. We found we got the formula that really works. Like at these parties, you would be surprised at the amount of, playing that happens when we get to that first 4-hour mark. It's because we put in so much work into the authentic connections that the playing just happens naturally. The performances, there's 3 performances planned, but 10 performances happen because people feel inspired, because it wasn't just a performer performing. It was just like, Sharon, like Kathy performed. Oh my God, like I want to perform too. Like if she could do it, I could do it, So my wife and I have a very special relationship. We've, it seems like every year I fall in love a little bit more with her. And I've taken this woman for a wild ride. a wild ride. And I do want to say, I still make mistakes. I still, there's been some hard situations. I just actually got out of a breakup, where I was in a hierarchical polyamorous relationship. So I had a wife and a girlfriend. And, if you read Polysecure, they'll tell you that that's the hardest relationship to be in. And, I'm here to let you know they are right.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but if you just got to be honest. I think I haven't used the word cheating. We don't use the word cheating a lot. There's just lying, and trying your best not to lie, and not lying means doing work on yourself to figure out who you are and what you want. And are you lying to yourself about what you want, and who you are? So, you gotta love yourself before you can love others. So constantly working on self-love and doing my best to be the best husband I can. And God, I fuck up, but, she creates space for understanding and growth, and, she's patient with me, and I with her. And, I, I'm blessed to be in this marriage, and, I don't see myself, we always tell each other 77. That's the number. When we're 77 years old each, then we'll think about, trying something new. But we're going to 77.
Perfect. Well, very grateful to you, Michael, for coming on, for sharing a bit of your story, for sharing a lot about the culture that you're creating, not trying to create, but have created, which I think is incredible. And we're excited to get that out there and help inspire others who are trying to do the same. And I hope there are people listening who are taking notes furiously and will be rewinding and taking more notes. So thank you for that. Very much, very grateful.
And Finn, I make sure to say this after every podcast because it's super important. The work you both are doing is extremely important, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Right? I don't think people understand how it is to wake up and this be your job or your passion. We doubt ourselves all the time. Like, should I be doing this? Am I just crazy? Am I just the only person out here, And you're not. And by you guys hosting this podcast and getting the word out there that there is an ethical, non-monogamous way of doing things, and sex positivity, and having these conversations and normalizing these conversations, this is what, we all benefit from it. Because you're normalizing these conversations, there's someone else that's out there. It's like, you know what? Whether they come to a play party or try something new with their partner, it's healing, it's transformative, and I just want to make sure that I give you guys your flowers while I've got you here. So thank you so much for creating this space.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. And, one of the things that we thrive on, no secret to anybody listening, is community. And, hearing that you're not just building a party, you're building a community. Mm-hmm. That's what we're building. And truly what we're doing here is, right, we're building the community of community gatherers. And there's incredible power in that. So grateful to have
so much community
in our circle, the meta community.
Yeah. So, well, shameless plug. We just released an app, the Play Network. So if you want to, I'm going to give you guys a free subscription, but if anybody else wants to join our little community and see what we do. And I think that's the other thing what others separates us is that we create art at our parties. I don't know if you guys have seen our Instagram, but it's just filled with art, and you can kind of see the private gallery there, see who's in your area, all the, it's like a white glove Discord. So
Perfect.
Cool.
yeah,
I love it. Thank you for that. And definitely we'll put, for anybody listening, there will be links in the show notes
Perfect.
to all of the ways they can find all of the things you've been talking about today. So
Awesome.
thank you, Michael, for being here and for doing the hard work. Because like you said, you wake up in a vacuum a lot of days looking around going, well, there's a whole lot of people out there creating a whole lot of things that they get to brag about. And I'm over here like trying to keep it secret, but make it public, but make it secret and make it public and make it secret. And it's a hard dance.
We'll talk about this next time, but I'm literally in the middle of telling my parents. Like, I've told one parent, and I still have to tell sisters and siblings and cousins, and it's like the shame that they're going to project and all the extra bullshit. But knowing that there's individuals like yourself out there, right? This is what keeps us sane. This is what keeps us going. I'm not a one-off, right? This is a community. So thank you guys for adding so much value to the community and welcoming me to yours.
Absolutely. Well, with that, enjoy the hopefully sunny Los Angeles weather. It is cold and rainy up here in the Bay.
And
yeah.
good luck as you continue to tell people too. It's not an easy journey. And I want to acknowledge that and wish you luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything.
All right. I'll see you both later.
And we're back. Nailed
I think
it.
that was perfect harmony. What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah? We could do it like 4 times and I'll layer it. It'll be beautiful.
Okay.
Anyway, not going to do that.
That's
Thank
too much
you.
work.
Huge thank you to Michael for coming on the show. We should have done an And We're Back with Michael. A
Yes.
3-part harmony.
Next time.
Next time. All right. Yes. Again, thank you, Michael, for coming on and for all of the amazing work you do. Again, a reminder to anybody who is interested in checking out the incredible experience that they are creating down in LA, head over to theplay.la or check out the links in our podcast show notes, either in your podcast player down below or on our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Click on the podcast app where you get to see more than just links. You get to see photos of many of our guests, plus links to anything anybody has ever talked about on our podcast. And just amazing,
Lots of cool shit.
Amazing web design from an electrical engineer who doesn't know anything about design.
So lots of cool shit.
You get it all. You also
Yes.
get those links to save $10 on STD check. I mean, it's a great place to hang out.
While you're there, you can also check out the week of visibility for non-monogamy coming up July 15th to the 21st. We are hosting a free workshop on July 17th. And on our website, you can find a banner to sign up right at the top for that free workshop. And the other dates we wanted to remind you about, over on the community tab, you can read all about our online community. And we have an upcoming community in-person retreat, September 13th to the 15th. All of the information is right there.
It's a hell of a website, Emma.
I know. That was a lot.
It's a lot.
Next week, actually, later this week.
Later this week. Hey, it's a special week.
It is. We have a Friday episode for you.
Yes, Miche and I. Miche, who you may remember from last month's Ask Us Anything, or we interviewed Miche a while back, somewhere in the mid-200s. Links will be in the show notes because I don't remember off the top of my head. But Miche is an amazing therapist and life coach and relationship coach, and she joins me once a month to answer your questions, community questions from the wide world of non-monogamy, and we're doing that on Friday. We've got a couple of amazing questions. One about penises, Emma. Just letting you know.
I know.
And one about being in a quad and swinging at the same time.
Awesome.
So it's full of amazing stuff. We say penis a lot. We also use the term meat popsicle.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited to listen. That episode, listeners, will be coming out this coming Friday, so stay tuned. And then next Wednesday. Did you have more on that?
No, I think we just leave it at meat popsicle.
Got it.
By the way, not a term we coined. That came from a community member contribution to getting some anecdotal evidence about the question.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Next week, we also have an interview for you. It will be with Kathy, and a lovely human being that we're really excited to get out there.
Yeah, amazing. Kathy is one of our community members.
Yes.
So if you want to know the high quality caliber of community members we have, Kathy's it.
Last week's episode was too.
Last week's episode also at Taylor and Curran.
Yeah.
Both members of the community as of today.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right. We'll see everybody on Friday, and then we'll see you again next week. We hope you're staying cool out there in your heat dome. Yeah?
I think that's it.
That's it. All right.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.